The day they fired me, the entire office went silent so fast I could hear keyboards stop clicking one by one. My supervisor wanted everyone to witness it. She stood beside my desk with her arms folded and a smile that looked almost proud of itself while 20 employees pretended not to stare at me. Then she said the words loud enough to bounce off the glass walls of the department. "You have 1 hour to clear out your things, Nathan. Do not make this difficult. My name is Nathan Reed." And at that moment I felt every eye in the room land on me like weight pressing into my shoulders. Most people would have argued or begged for an explanation, but I simply closed my laptop slowly and slid my coffee aside. I looked up at her calmly while she leaned against my desk like she had already won the war. "Can I at least know why I am being terminated?" I asked. "You will get an email from HR eventually," she replied with a shrug. "For now, just leave quietly." Then she smirked and added one more thing that stayed in my head long after I walked away. "You are always too soft for this industry anyway." The word soft echoed in my mind while I packed my notebooks into my bag. I took my pens, my charger, and a worn leather portfolio I had carried for years. But there was one thing I left behind intentionally. A single security key hidden inside the desk drawer. The key that still gave me access to systems nobody else in the company even knew existed. As I walked toward the elevators, whispers spread across the office like electricity. Not one person defended me, not even Trevor, a coworker whose rent I had secretly helped pay during his divorce. That silence told me everything. My supervisor believed she had erased me from the company in one afternoon. What she did not know was that the company existed because of me in the first place. I did not drive home after leaving the building. Instead, I parked several blocks away and entered a private office under a different business name. Nobody at the company knew about it. For 14 months, I had quietly documented every suspicious contract, every forged approval, and every illegal transfer connected to upper management. My supervisor thought I was just another exhausted middle manager. In reality, I was the original co-founder of the company. Years earlier, I built the software platform from scratch alongside my best friend, Ryan Mercer, who later became CEO. But after investors arrived, ownership structures changed. My shares were diluted through legal loopholes while Ryan slowly pushed me into the background. They buried my authority under fake performance reviews and meaningless titles until most employees believed I had always been insignificant. But I kept copies of everything. That night, I opened a secured folder labeled Blackwater Evidence and reviewed the latest files. Security footage showed my supervisor instructing HR to mark my termination as misconduct. That label was important because it blocked severance, legal appeals, and internal investigations. It was a calculated move designed to destroy my credibility before I could respond. Unfortunately for them, I had already prepared for that possibility months ago. I sent the entire archive to my attorney along with 2 board members who had quietly started questioning recent financial activity inside the company. Then I filed an emergency shareholder request using a clause hidden deep inside the original operating agreement. A clause I personally wrote 12 years earlier when the company was still operating out of my apartment. Founder override authority. The next morning, I walked back into the building wearing a charcoal suit I had not touched in years. The receptionist barely recognized me. Employees glanced at me nervously as I crossed the lobby with complete calm. Then the elevator doors opened and my supervisor stepped out holding an expensive coffee with the same arrogant smile she always wore. Her expression changed instantly when she saw me. "Nathan," she said carefully, "why are you here?" I smiled politely. "You may want to cancel your 10 o'clock meeting." Before she could answer, Harold Bennett stepped out from a nearby conference room. Harold was one of the senior board members and a former federal prosecutor. He approached her with 2 security officers behind him. "Ms. Parker," he said firmly, "your company access has been suspended effective immediately. You will need to surrender all devices and credentials pending investigation." Her face lost all color. "What investigation?" she snapped. Harold looked toward me. "Mr. Reed invoked founder authority under clause 3.17. We reviewed the documents last night." The look in her eyes was unforgettable. 24 hours earlier, she had publicly humiliated me like I was disposable. Now she stood frozen in the same lobby while employees watched her lose everything. I stepped into the executive elevator without looking back. The top floor still looked exactly the way I designed it years earlier. Cold glass walls, steel railings, quiet hallways. At the end of the corridor sat Ryan Mercer, the CEO who betrayed me for power. He was laughing with the CFO when I entered his office, but the laughter died immediately. "Nathan," he whispered, standing slowly. I tossed my leather portfolio onto his desk. Inside were signed documents, internal emails, and a flash drive containing a recorded conversation between him and my supervisor discussing forged approvals under my name. He opened the folder with shaking hands. "Where did you get this?" he asked. I leaned closer. "You forged corporate records while I was attending my mother's funeral, Ryan. You thought I would never notice." His mouth opened, but no words came out. The confidence he carried for years disappeared right in front of me. Before he could recover, Harold entered the office again with legal counsel beside him. "Ryan Mercer, your executive authority has been suspended pending criminal investigation." Ryan looked at me with disbelief, almost like he still expected loyalty from me after everything he had done. But there was no loyalty left inside me anymore, only clarity. After security escorted him out, I sat alone in his office and opened the bottom drawer of his desk. That was where I found the folder that changed everything. Inside were resignation letters from 6 senior department heads, all scheduled for the next morning. They planned to leave together after stripping the company of critical operations, investors, and staff. Ryan was preparing to burn the entire business down rather than let me rebuild it. That was the moment I realized this had never been about ego alone. It was sabotage. I immediately called an emergency board meeting for that afternoon. 12 members gathered around the long conference table while Ryan sat quietly at the far end pretending he still had control. I placed a sealed envelope in front of him and spoke carefully. 10 years ago in Prague, we discussed acquiring a smaller software company called Viridian Systems. The acquisition failed unexpectedly. Today I want to explain why. Ryan shifted in his seat. I continued speaking while the room watched him closely. Internal emails show you accepted millions from a competitor to intentionally sabotage that merger. You routed the money through shell companies connected to your cousin before settling a federal inquiry using company shares you never legally owned. Ryan exploded immediately. "That is not true." I nodded slowly. "That is exactly what you told investigators in 2018. The room fell completely silent. Several board members stared at him with shock while others looked furious. Finally, one of the oldest investors spoke. "You nearly destroyed this company for greed." Ryan tried arguing, but the evidence was overwhelming. Within minutes, the board voted unanimously to remove him permanently. Watching security escort him away felt strangely empty. I expected satisfaction. Instead, I felt exhausted. Years of betrayal had finally collapsed under its own weight. After the meeting ended, I addressed the remaining executives honestly. "This company was built on trust," I said. "Somewhere along the way, we traded integrity for ambition. That ends today." Over the next several weeks, we launched internal audits, ethics reforms, and independent oversight across every department. Employees who once ignored me suddenly understood who I really was and why I stayed silent for so long. Because silence can be dangerous, but silence can also be patient. Late one night, after everything settled, I received a text message from an unknown number. "You think you won?" I stared at the message for a long time before locking my phone and stepping onto my balcony. The city lights stretched endlessly beneath me while the cold night air finally felt peaceful again. Maybe I had not won completely. Maybe revenge never truly feels the way people imagine it will. But for the first time in years, the company was clean again. The lies were exposed, the people responsible were gone, and I finally walked away knowing they could never erase me again.